Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Vanity is back with Cardify Vanguard, Ezel and the Vanity weekly review. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, subscribe, and start, shall we? This time we have some pretty more good set 9 reveals. We're supposed to be getting Magnolia support tomorrow, or as in tomorrow, I mean today. We all know at this point I record early enough to where it's the day before they actually reveal the new stuff. So we're getting Magnolia in this episode, so that's pretty great. Or like new Magnolia support cards. And I feel like we're gonna get something very good. I'm not gonna give away what I think it is because I don't know, I just feel like we're getting something good. So there's no confirmation, but I just have a good feeling, so we'll see. But anyways, let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? First up today, we have Reverend / Dragon, Grade 3 Generic Persona, 13k base. On was placed on rear guard from your hand. By soul blasting one, choose a Grade 2 or greater card from your drop zone, put it at the top of your deck. Okay, in D, it's not bad because it just is great for Bastion. It's not amazing for Hexorb, but it's not bad for Hexorb either. Thagria is like 50-50 with this. Like all the D decks, this works fine for, but specifically in Premium, this is broken because it doesn't say it has to be a normal unit, to my knowledge, which means you can go put this in Keter Sanctuary or like any deck from United Sanctuary and get a free Heal Guardian back to your deck, meaning you can sack a heal trigger, guard with it, and then bounce it to hand. I'm still against Heal Guardians, but this makes me want to run them a little bit more in United Sanctuary, though then again you also have to make sure you run space for this one. But hey, recyclable G-Guards, so all around decent card. I liked it a lot. And Premium, if you do choose to go with that strategy, 2 to 3 of, but me personally, I'm not going to run this at all because I don't plan on using it in the D, and I don't plan on using it in Premium either. Then we have Stealth Dragon, Raise Spear, Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Looks like a double rare in my opinion, but it's a common, so cool. Auto is placed on your rear guard if your opponent's bind zone has a card in it, so it'll charge one this against plus 2k for the turn. Well, I wasn't having soul problems with my stealth deck, but one, I just now realized you have stealth in your card name, so thank you for that. And also just a free soul charge and +2. Granted, it's a mandatory soul charge, so it can deck you out faster, but honestly, I like this card a lot. It definitely replaces Touchy Agari for me, because he was just like, I didn't have a better stealth grade 1, so I just ran him for the free soul charge, but yeah, Raja just seems to be that much better, so cool. I found my replacement, and he looks honestly badass. I would love to run this card in my deck, so my new 4 for this deck, fuck Touchy Agari. He's always useful when I'm first building a deck, but then afterwards he kind of just like falls off. So 4 of this boy, perfect replacement. Then we have Glorious Storm Dragon, Great Dragon stuff 5k shield, 10k base. Interesting art. Act Vanguard Act Rear Guard, 10k base by the way, once per turn. If you perform a persona this turn by counterblasting one, your opponent puts all their rear guards in the same column as them to the bottom of the deck, and it gets plus 5k to end of turn. Why? I remember before when I said I feel like, they're just giving support from the Craycross Epic decks or like those decks from last set, and they're bringing the support over here, even though they never do that. It feels like they're doing this again, because Bastion doesn't need this. I mean, technically, Hex Orb could use this, but like at the same time, I feel like Hex Orb doesn't need this at all. Minerva doesn't need this, but fuck it, sure. What was the other deck there? Thagria, I guess, would be the best one, because Thagria is the one that most often pulls off Persona Rides. Is it meant to, like, help with that new order, the Regalia piece, that gives another tank, that gives the Persona Ride access? I don't know, it just feels like, meh, it's not a bad card. It just feels like, why is it here? That's my question for it. Why is it here? It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not calling it bad. I'm just trying to figure out why is it here, because it just feels so out of place. Maybe it's just me, but whatever. 3 of you choose to run this. I'm not going to run this till I figure out the answer to my question of why it's even here. Then we have this one, which interests me because when I was doing like putting them onto the Google Slides, this one was in the exact same place as the other freaking, what's it called? The other Draco Tree card, because like quite literally, this is slide 5. The other Draco Tree card was on slide 5. So if next week we get another Draco Tree card and it's also on slide 5, it's a trend. Bushy reveals them in a certain order for a reason. Anyways, Fallen of the Draco Tree sold Danzer Club. This time he's from Keter Sanctuary, not Dragon Empire. I do love his art though. Grade 1 boost by Shield, AK base. Auto is placed on your rear guard by counterblasting 1. Choose one of your rear guards without a Draco Tree marker on it, put a Draco Tree marker on it. Okay, I like how they already have 2 triple rares lined up for them guaranteed, because both this and the other grade 1 was a triple rare. This also, like, says this basically. this is going to be some broken ass ability because now we have 2 cards that can do this. So very interesting. I'm assuming the main grade 3 is going to cost Counterblast, but it's nice to think that I think about a total of at least 3 triple rares are going to them because presumably the main grade 3 is a triple rare. And then auto back or rear guard once per turn. When your rear guard appears in front row the same column as them, Counterblast 1 draw card. Okay, great. It's a CB1 to draw. It's not amazing, but like it's kind of like that one card from Friends where like when something's placed in the same column as it, if you have 3 more friends, draw a card. It's not bad. The deck seems to be very counterblast heavy, depending on what the main grade 3 ends up doing. I would say this, I mean, you definitely want to run them for a 4 of anyways, just because of this skill alone, but, and depending on what the main grade 3 does, I'll end up giving a more different opinion on him, again, assuming that they get a main grade 3, because that fucking dragon thing looked like a main grade 3. I'm very curious of how if we're gonna be able to run all of these in the same deck, or if the main grade 3 himself is gonna be generic, and you can run him in any deck. So I'm very curious to see where that goes along, because I'm doing the same thing for my own game with Thera, with a very certain interesting line, and I want to see how Bushy does it to see if we're going to line up on the same thing. Coincidentally, they're both dragons, so that's fun. Anyways, 4 copies of Soldanzer. It's just nice, but we have to wait to see the Dragon Shape Art Growers. Then we have Knight of Fate Cordelia, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, continues to send out back or rear guard. If your Vanguard's Magic Lord Blaster, she gets the following abilities. Auto rear at the end of the battle, she boosted anything, or technically it has to be MLB. Counterblast 1, choose up to 1 Blaster Blade and 1 Blaster Dark from your soul, column to different rear guards into the same column. Okay, I was about to say that. Like, it's not that great considering you're still like missing an attack, but continues rear guard if your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater. It gets all your grade 2s get boost. Okay, so not bad. So now it's not a waste to call them both to the same column, and I really do love that ability because half the time I just call Blaster Dark and Blaster Blade to the same column. One of them doesn't get to swing because I like to send that column to Soul. So it's pretty nice that they can boost each other, and the fact you can do multi-attack all for the cost of a Counterblast now is not amazing because the deck is a little bit Counterblast heavy, but it still works out in the deck in the long run. I think it's really good. I'm just going to have to manage my Counterblast better with it. But hey, you know what? Cordelia seems like an amazing grade 1. God damn it though, she had to be a fucking promo, and if you don't know, I don't like nowadays because someone brought it to my attention one time, I don't like running promos until like we have like official English information of when it's coming out in English, and now I can't use her. I can use her in videos and just not tell people, but fuck, god damn it, I hate this. I hate the fact that you're a promo. You're so good. Why must you be a promo? For Cadelli, when she comes out, 4 of. Then we have Fierce Knight Creeduna, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. I'm a little disappointed because when they said the Discord message, it said that next week we're getting 2 promos that support MLB and Blaster Dark. I know it didn't say 1 for each, but I really thought it was going to be like, hey, they're going to make a way for you can support PBO and MLB all at the same time. It makes sense that they're 2 different cards, but still. Anyways, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, continues rear guard. When this unit be retired for the cost of your Vanguard's ability to blast its card name be counted as 2 cards. Great, so it's a freebie for both the PBD and the PBO. And then auto when she's retired by your Vanguard's ability with Blaster its card name. If your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, you choose one of your Blaster Darks on rear until end of turn. It gets once per turn when this unit attacks. Discard 1. This unit can perform a drive check during its battle. At the end of the battle, retire this unit. Okay, so if you're willing to clear up your board, you can just get a discard and possibly have Twin Drive, which means you could have a total of Sextuple Drive. Though then again, this thing has to be killed by your Vanguard's ability. So I don't know, I mean, I guess you'd have to call Blaster Dark beforehand to call 2 of these to the back row, or like call 1 of them to the front row, and then kill them both for the PBO's ability, because you don't have to counter as 2, and then call the Blaster Dark from drop or soul, and then give it +10, give PBO +10, and then give both Blaster Darks the skill, because the skill itself isn't once per turn, but the skill that they give them is once per turn, and then you discard a total of 2, and you gain a total of Quad Drive, which is bullshit, but sure. It's not bad. It really isn't. It just feels like, I don't know, part of this is weird. It still gets good on the list because it gives it for free, and then you can just choose not to do the discard skill, because if you choose to do the skill, then the unit dies. But either way, it's a really good grade 2. It's interesting. Probably gonna run it over my Maka because I've just been trying to find something to get rid of Maka for, so 4 of, but yeah, she's just a good grade 2. Then we have Violent Mad Flame, Frediadio. Finally, we're getting another card that's named support for Barrow Magnus. I mean, I don't know why I say finally. Sets haven't given us a lot of good cards, but I guess we're getting another one who's a double rare. So here's my assumption, because they keep giving him double rares. So, and I know I just I know me personally, I find it like the cards that have the higher rarities tend to be the ones that are in the anime more. That's not always guaranteed, because Diagnose is a perfect example of that, and so is anything from there come on a stereo. But I don't know. I just feel like this one's a sign that we're getting another Barrow player, because if you've noticed, I think every season has had 1 Barrow player. Or like, if not, then the only season that didn't have a barrel player was season 2, because season 1 had a barrel player and season 3 actually had a barrel player, but neither of them were important enough to get a full episode to themselves. So, yeah, for Daddio, anyways, auto rear when he attacks a Vanguard. If you have a Vanguard Barrel Max in its card name, put another rear guard into your soul, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, put it to their soul. If they did not put a card to soul, it gets +10 for the battle. So great, you get a force removal of a rear guard, so stuff that just says they can't be retired by ability, sucks for them, it goes to soul anyways. But if it has can't be chosen by effects, then sucks for you, but hey, gets an extra +10 out of it anyway, so all around pretty great. Gets the free soul charge, gets the extra numbers, all around just amazing grade 2, and I love it. 4 of Barrow Magnus, no questions asked. Then we have Knight of Pure Grace Legita, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Must say I love the art, not a big fan of the skill, but hey, the skill is good. Active rear guard, once per turn, soul boss 1 with the top card, it gets +2k, and you return the top card to the original spot. Again, I say, the skill is good. It really is, because that's just a +2, and, like, make your plays around what you know the top card is. But why, like, those two together? I feel like that's just such a weird skill. Like, it gets 2k, and it checks the top card. Like, what correlation is there between these that makes any form of sense? Like, it's great, because this essentially turns into a grade 2 for the turn, more or less, and, you know, you get a not stack, but you can play the rest of your turn around what you know the next card is. But I don't know. It just feels weird. I love his art, and I think his skill is good. It's just like, who was it that I said it was earlier? Was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. I question why it's like this. I don't know. It's a good skill. I'm just questioning why. So 3 of in Hexa, maybe? Maybe? Again, I'm not going to run this till I figure out why. Next up we have Moldy Shooter, new grade 1 for Flagberg, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, continuous rear guard or guard circle. If your Vanguard has Flagberg in its card name, this unit gets +2k power and 5k shield, active on both players' turns. So what I'm getting from this, better Inroad, because it keeps the same power, only difference is this doesn't get Intercept unlike Inroad, but at the same time, this gets 10k shield, or has 10k shield, which is great. My thing is though, I just cut Inroad. I don't think this is justifiable reason to replace it back in when I just cut Inroad from my Flabberg deck. I mean, I'll say this though, this new support, even though I don't care about this card at all, has given me hope that we'll see Flabberg in the anime, because I want by the end of Will Dress, or like by the end of this season, we at least get like one of each fight for the remaining decks, which isn't hard. Like Barrow Magnus, Flagberg, Hexa Orb, Eugene. Eugene's a 50-51. But come on, we can get 4 on-screen fights here. Come on, there has to be someone in the world that uses Flagberg, except for that one guy that got like shafted in Will Dress season 1. I want to see Flagberg be used in the anime. I don't care about Flagberg. I just want to see it happen. So yeah, Multi Shooter. In my opinion, not worth running. I mean, unless you really want to have the extra 10k shield, but yeah, run it if you want to.
And now for our last card, first up we have Sylvan Horn Beast Winterspoon, grade 3 200%, 13k base, continues deck or hand. If you have a grade 2 or greater Sylvan Horn Beast Vanguard with a different card name than this unit, he gets a grade -1. Okay, pretty decent. And then continues rear guard. If your Vanguard has Magnolia in its card name the turn this unit was placed, or if your Magnolia Vanguard was placed this turn, it gets +10k power. It's not bad, because that's a 23k base, which definitely gives Magnolia some numbers, and Magnolia definitely gets to ride a lot. The downside is that if you don't ever ride, then, or like if you miss a ride, then this is essentially the worst card in your deck, because it's a 13k swinger. So he's not bad, don't get me wrong, but I don't like being in those situations where there's a chance he could be vanilla without like cost being involved, so me personally, I'd rather not run him, but his 23k base definitely makes him a little bit intriguing just for number purposes. Then we have Sylvan Horn Beast Godiot, or as I like to call it, Sero from Inazuma 11 Go Galaxy. Grade 2 to 5k shield, 10k base, auto drop zone. When your Vanguard Magnolia's card name is placed during your ride phase, if your soul does not have a copy of this unit in it, put it to soul, choose one of your Vanguards, gets +5 for the turn. Okay, so it has discard fodder purposes. And auto back or rear guard, when this unit attacks, it gets +10k for the battle. At the end of the battle, if it's in the center column, retire it to draw a card. Okay, you know, it works, because my Magnolia deck always goes in between a problem of having soul and not having soul, though it's rare that it doesn't have soul. But, cool, can go to soul, get +5, and then I can swing for a 20k and get a draw at the end of the battle. I don't know, in my opinion, this feels like a double rare, because I expected a little bit more from this, but it's still fine, because again, it gets you soul, and it gets you powers and draw, but I don't know, it just feels like, could have been a little bit better, but it's still good, it's art, beautiful, so might as well run it as a 3 over 4 of a Magnolia. But also that brings us to what's going to be next Tuesday, and that's going to be 3 youth perk cards, and we're going to supposedly get I don't already forget what it was. We're going to supposedly get a new counter heal. So we'll see where that goes. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to set up your vanguards.